Hello, today we're going to learn how we can install Windows 11 using VMware. To download Windows 11 ISO, you can go to Google and search download Windows 11. And on the first link that shows up from Microsoft, if you click on it, you can pick different options to download Windows 11. Because we are installing on a VMware as a virtual machine in here, what we're going to do, we're going to go down to the option called download Windows 11 disk image ISO and select the Windows 11 option and then hit download. And it will give you a additional option to pick which version you would like to download. And today we're going to pick the version for English and then hit confirm, and it will start downloading the 64-bit version once you click on the 64-bit download. And once this download is completed, we can install this on the VMware. On the VMware software, we're going to install the Windows 11 as simple as possible. So to do that, the first thing we're going to do, we're going to click on File menu, and we're going to choose New Virtual Machine. And you have a couple of options. One is a typical, the other one is custom. The custom one is the advanced option. I have done a video on how to go through the advanced configurations and create a virtual machine. However, in this example of installing Windows 11, we're going to go with the typical recommended option, and we're going to go next. And we can choose to select the ISO file, or we can pick the ISO file later. So this time I'm going to go with I will install the operating system later, and we're going to pick Microsoft Windows. And for options here, obviously because Windows 11 is just released, there is no Windows 11 option, but the Windows 11 architecture is very similar or same as Windows 10 64-bit. So we're going to pick the Windows 10 and later and click next, and you can pick what you would like to call your Windows 11 machine. So I'm just going to call this simply Windows 11 and x64, but you can call it whatever you like. And here it is the option that you can pick for where the VMware files will be saved. You can select where you want to install it, like if you have a secondary hard drive or external hard drive, you can even install an external hard drive. However, I don't recommend doing it on external hard drive. So once you selected the location, that's where all the files will be saved for this particular VM. And next, you can click the next button. And here I'm going to leave all the options as it is. And finally, at the end, it will give you a summary, and I'm going to click finish. Now you will end up with a blank VM with nothing on it. So what we're going to do, we're going to attach the ISO which we downloaded earlier for Windows 11. So you can go to Edit, Virtual Machine, and under CD, you can pick the Use ISO image file, and then click on Browse. And what you need to do is you need to find where you have saved the ISO file. In my case, I have saved right in this location. So I'm going to pick the Windows 11 English 64-bit version, and I'll click OK, and then click OK. Now another thing we need to take into consideration before we install Windows 11 is the default hardware configuration. As you can see, it has 2 GB of memory allocated with 60 GB of hard drive space. But however, if you go to the Windows 11 website for minimum system requirement, you need minimum 4 GB of RAM, and you need at least 64 GB or larger hard drive space in order to install Windows 11. So how we're gonna do this is basically we're gonna go back into the virtual machine editor, the settings, and we're gonna increase the hard drive from 60 GB to a different, a larger drive. So I just simply click expand, and then I'm going to select this to 100 gigabyte. Say expand, and that's it. And then I'm going to change the memory from having just 2 gigabyte to 16 gigabyte. Now this is something that you need to be careful with. For memory, if you increase memory more than what your host machine can handle, not only the VMware software may crash, but also host machine may become unresponsive. So in my situation, I have an Intel i9 and I have lots of memory. I have 64 gigabyte of DDR4 memory. So because of that, I can allocate 16 gigabyte of memory, no problem. But if your machine cannot handle it, I would recommend making sure that you just go with the Windows minimum requirement, and then that will allow you to install the Windows 11. So what I did, basically making sure that we meet the minimum requirement and a little bit of more. Now you have all the necessary configurations done on the main VMware machine. What we're going to do, we're going to power on this machine, and then it will give you the option to boot from ISO. And this will take a little while, and in a bit it will give you the welcome screen. And on the welcome screen, I'm going to pick English and the United States and click next. And I'm going to select install now. And it will give you an option to enter the product key. Now, I do not have the product key. So whatever I'm going to do, I'm going to click the options, say I do not have the product key. I'm installing this as a trial version, and I'm gonna install it on this VM just to test it out. Now this is the multi-edition, so you will have options to select from several different editions of the Windows 11. For this demonstration, I'm gonna pick Windows 11 Pro, and when you click next, because you are on a virtual machine, you most likely going to get an error message, and I'm going to show you how to fix that. So if you click next now, it will try to install, and the check come back and saying this PC cannot install Windows 11. So let's see how we can fix this. In order to fix this error, what we're going to do is we're going to do some registry edits to bypass these checks. So the reason why this error comes up, because the new Windows 11 is checking for TPM, CPU, RAM, and Secure Boot, and we're gonna bypass all of that by overriding the registry key. So how we get to registry key from registry editor from here is press Shift and F10, and that will get you to the command prompt. On the command prompt, type reg edit and press enter. It will give you the registry key editor. On the registry key editor, select H key local machine, and then select the system, and under system you will see an option called setup. Now on the setup, highlight the setup option, and under setup section, or right click and select new, and then under new you're going to select the option for key. So this new key, we're going to name it as lab config for now. You can call it whatever you like, but for now we're just going to call it lab config. And in here we're going to create a couple of entries. So to create an entry on this blank white space, click right click and select new, and we're going to select the DWORD 32-bit value. And the first option we're going to create, we're going to call it BypassTPMCheck. And then once you created that, double click on it, and you're going to select the value data as 1. And make sure once you press 1, you click OK. And then we're going to create a couple of more items with the same similar information. So again, we're going to create right click, new, and we're going to create a key. Sorry, not a key. You're going to go right click, new. You're going to select DWORD 64-bit value, sorry, 32-bit value, and we're going to name it as this time we're going to be bypass CPU check, and you're going to double click on that, and again you're going to change the value from 0 to 1, and we're going to create another 32-bit DWORD, and we're going to call this BypassRAMCheck. You're going to double click on that, and you're going to change that value to again 1, and we're going to create another 32-bit DWORD, and we're going to call this BypassSecureBootCheck. So the last one is BypassSecureBootCheck, and you're going to double click on that one, and you're going to change that value also to 1. So what we have effectively done here by creating BypassTPMCheck, BypassCPUCheck, BypassRAMCheck, and BypassSecureBootCheck is that we are trying to bypass the Windows 11 default checks for installation on a new machine. So once you are done, close this Registry Editor, close the command prompt, and exit out of the installation. You will get back to the Windows setup screen again, and now click on Install Now. And again we go through the same process, and then select we're going to select the Windows 11 Pro and click Next. And now you can go past that error message. So now we are here and we have done the registry editing. We're going to go to the next option. So we're going to say yes, I accept this agreement, and click Next. And you're going to get with 2 options, upgrade or custom install. Because this is a brand new install on a blank hard drive, I'm going to select the option called custom, and I'm going to select the 0 allocated space from here, and I'm going to create a new partition and hit apply and say OK, and then click Next, and this will start installing Windows 11. Once the installation is done, the Windows will reboot, and as you can see, the initial installation is being done in the background, and it should be at the end it should greet you with a welcome screen where you have to go with the basic setup. So this is the basic setup window, and I'm gonna simply select the region as United States. I'm in Canada, but however we're gonna select as United States and click yes. And then I have a US keyboard, but you can pick the keyboard that you like and click next. And you have a second keyboard, so I don't have one, so I'm going to say skip. So it's going to check for updates. Once the update check is done, it'll ask you whether you would like to name the device. So I'm going to name it as Win11 Pro X64. Which one? But you can name it whatever you like. So I believe you can put dashes. So _1. Finally, it will reboot. And it will greeted you with this screen. So I'm just going to select the option called set up for personal use because I'm not going to domain join or anything. And then click next. And it will give you the option to sign into a Microsoft account. But you don't have to do that. You can select doing without a Microsoft account. So you can go sign in option. And then you can select the offline account. And you can skip the Microsoft account by clicking the skip for now. And they're going to ask, what are you going to use this device for? So enter your name. So I'm just going to say Manuja Senanayake and click next. And you can ask for a password. And they're going to confirm the password. And they're going to ask you to enter 3 security questions. I'm going to do pet's name. I'm going to say Canada. And they're going to ask what city you were born. So I'm going to say Canada again. And they're going to ask you what's your nickname. I'm just going to put Canada again. And it will give you these settings. You can look over it. There is basically location tracking settings, diagnostic data that being sent to Microsoft and other information. It's up to you, but I'm just going to say accept. Again, for the one more time, it's going to check for updates. Then it will greet you with this screen. So there you go. The Windows 10 is now installed on your computer, VMware machine. Now, what we can do to make this screen, properly stretch to your screen resolution, you're gonna hit on the bottom, install VM tools. If this option did not show up for you at the end of the installation, you can go to VM. At the main VMware software, the option called the drop down menu called VM, and select install VMware tools. So in this case, I'm just going to press install tools right here. I'm going to go into Microsoft Windows Explorer, and I'm going to go into the CD DVD drive, and it will have the VMware Tools ISO, and you can say yes, and it will take few moments. And once this installation is done for VMware Tools, you should have the full screen of the Windows 11. So as you can see, now we have full-blown Windows 11. You will have to restart the computer to get full options, like all the configurations properly done. And there you go. You have Windows 11 installed on your VMware.